Welcome back to Godless and Grounded. Why is religion collapsing in modern societies? This question is not just being asked by scholars in dusty academic halls. It's being whispered in homes, debated on social media, and silently felt in the hearts of people walking away from religious institutions. The decline of religion isn't a theory anymore. It's a measurable global trend. In country after country, belief in organized religion is fading. And this isn't just a temporary dip in attendance. It's a structural collapse of something that once shaped the world more than any empire or government ever could. But why is this happening? What changed? Let's begin with a simple truth. Religion has always been deeply connected to ignorance, not in a condescending way, but literally in the sense of filling gaps in knowledge. In ancient times, people had no way of explaining lightning, earthquakes, disease, or even dreams. So they looked up at the sky, invented gods, and said, that must be the answer. Religion was a placeholder for what humans didn't yet understand. It offered comfort, order, and explanations when there were none. But here's the catch. The more we've learned through science, the fewer mysteries remain for religion to explain. Today, we know why it rains. We understand viruses and bacteria. We've mapped the stars and even sent machines into deep space. The God of the gaps, the idea that God fills the gaps in our understanding, is shrinking with every scientific discovery. When people realize they don't need divine explanations for natural events, the authority of religion weakens. But the collapse of religion isn't just about science replacing superstition. It's also about moral evolution. Many modern societies are realizing that morality doesn't need to be tied to ancient scriptures. Think about it. Most religious texts were written thousands of years ago in times of slavery, tribal warfare, and rigid gender roles. The rules and morals found in those texts reflect those ancient cultures, not universal human values. When modern people read these texts today, they see a moral code that feels outdated, discriminatory, and often in direct conflict with the values we now consider humane, like equality, freedom, and compassion without conditions. Let's take an example. In the past, it was common for religions to teach that women are inferior to men, that gay people are sinful, or that disbelievers deserve punishment. But in many parts of the world today, we've evolved beyond those ideas. People now understand that your gender, sexuality, or belief system doesn't make you more or less human. And when a religion continues to preach ideas that are no longer compatible with empathy and human rights, people naturally begin to question its relevance. This moral awakening is especially strong among young people. In study after study, the youth are leading the charge away from religion. In the United States, for example, nearly half of young adults now identify as religiously unaffiliated. In Europe, it's even more dramatic. Countries like Sweden, the Netherlands, and the Czech Republic report more than 70% of people who say they do not believe in God. In Japan, religion is almost entirely cultural now. Few people actually believe in divine beings. These are not isolated cases. They are part of a larger global pattern. Another major reason religion is collapsing is access to information. The internet changed everything. For the first time in history, people could freely explore beliefs beyond the ones they were raised with. They could question, research, and connect with others who shared their doubts. A person in a conservative religious town can now read academic critiques of the Bible, watch debates between atheists and theists, or discover that other people also walked away from faith and lived fulfilling lives. The monopoly of religious institutions on information is gone. And once people start questioning, many don't go back. But there's another layer to this collapse, one that has less to do with beliefs and more to do with behavior. Religious institutions have, time and time again, failed to live up to the morals they preach. Scandals of abuse, corruption, and hypocrisy have rocked churches, mosques, temples, and other religious organizations around the world. From the Catholic Church's child abuse cover-ups to extremist violence justified by Scripture, the behavior of religious institutions has often been the very thing that pushes people away. People are tired of leaders who preach purity but act with cruelty. They're tired of sermons about love while seeing hateful actions committed in the name of God. The more people see religion as a tool of control, manipulation, or personal gain, the more they walk away, not out of rebellion, but out of integrity. And let's talk about control, because religion has historically been used to control populations. Whether it was kings claiming divine right to rule or religious leaders enforcing laws based on scripture, religion and power often walked hand in hand. But today, more people believe in democracy, individual rights, and freedom of expression. They don't want to be told what to believe, how to dress, who to love, or what to think. Modern societies are built on autonomy, and religion, particularly the organized kind, often feels like a chain wrapped in sacred cloth. Another factor is economic development. Sociologists have long noticed a pattern. As societies become more stable, educated, and prosperous, religiosity declines. Why? Because in stable societies, people don't need religion to survive. In places where there's healthcare, education, and a strong social safety net, people can rely on institutions and systems rather than prayers and miracles. But in societies where life is unpredictable, religion often steps in as a coping mechanism. This is why belief in God tends to be higher in poor, unstable, or war-torn regions. In contrast, developed countries like Norway, Canada, and Australia show a steady decline in religious belief. It's important to note that people aren't becoming immoral just because they're becoming less religious. In fact, studies show that highly secular societies often have lower crime rates, better education systems, and higher levels of happiness. Morality isn't disappearing, it's just being redefined without religious frameworks. Now, let's consider the psychological angle. In the past, religion provided a sense of belonging, identity, and purpose. It still does for many people. But now, those same things can be found elsewhere, through communities, hobbies, work, causes, and friendships. You don't have to go to a temple or mosque to feel like you matter. You can volunteer at a shelter, join an online community, or work for something that improves lives. Modern people are discovering that purpose and meaning can come from within, not just from above. Even rituals, once the backbone of religious practice, are being replaced by secular alternatives. Weddings, funerals, baby namings, and holidays can now be celebrated without invoking a god. People are creating their own traditions, ones that feel authentic rather than inherited. Religion used to be the only script for life's milestones. Now, people are writing their own stories. Let's not forget education. As literacy rates have increased and critical thinking has become more valued, religious dogma has struggled to survive. When people learn how to question assumptions, test claims, and analyze evidence, they often apply those tools to religion too. And many find that the answers religion offers just don't hold up under scrutiny. In short, the collapse of religion in modern societies isn't caused by a single event. It's the result of many converging forces: scientific progress, moral growth, access to information, institutional failure, economic development, and the rise of secular meaning. Religion isn't being attacked, it's becoming obsolete. But that doesn't mean people are becoming cold or empty. On the contrary, many are finding deeper connections to others, to nature, to art, and to themselves. They are choosing reason over ritual, ethics over dogma, and freedom over fear. And as religion collapses, something else rises: the courage to think freely. People are beginning to understand that you don't need a god to be good. You don't need a holy book to know how to treat others. And you don't need a promise of heaven to find meaning in this life. The collapse of religion is not the end of something sacred, it's the beginning of something honest. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most sacred thing of all.